Friday. Welcome to Chatman booth.
More, please.
It's June 8th. 7th or 8th. I think it's the 8th. I think it's Friday, June 8th. Welcome to the show.
Hydrate for happiness.
Just burning a little sweetgrass. It's hard to imagine the circumstance under which your mother says, burn my hair, it's okay. It's going to improve things.
I've been thinking a lot about the show.
This grass is said to be the hair of Mother Earth itself.
And that thing Woody Allen said before we all had a reason not to like Woody Allen. That thing he said where you get the idea in your head and it's 100% and you write the script and it's 75% and you start casting and it's 50% and you start shooting and it's 25%, however he said it. And by the time the picture's up on the screen, it is a small percentage of what you had seen in your mind's eye.
So, yeah, like Happy Pride. Pride can be an abysmal holiday when you're single, and that's where I'm at.
And that got me to thinking that I just wanted to flip the switch a little bit and break through some of my own sort of internal barriers and get more intimate with you. I want to be as comfortable chatting with people on camera as I am off camera, because those off camera chats are what inspired the show. I just sit on the street and talk to people, and my God, it just changed the course of everything.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, Chatman booth. Can you hear me? We are on the Boston Commons today. It is Friday, August 10th. 5 bells just rung, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there are a lot of people down here. A lot of dogs, frog pond, kids in the water, folks taking naps on the grass, people from all corners of the globe walking by, learning, seeing. All right, we're going to see what we can find, who we can talk to here today. Okay, we're on the Common on a beautiful Friday afternoon, and we have our first City of Boston Chatman booth guest. We were drawn to his music, and that's one of the reasons we chose this spot to sit here today. Hi, I'm Jabari. What's your name? Marcel Chu. Nice to meet you. You're around the Somerville area now. Where did you move here from?
I live in Illinois, but I'm staying with my family.
What part of Illinois?
Rockford.
Oh, right on. I spent a little time in the Champaign-Urbana area one summer when I was a kid. Yeah, I enjoyed it. How do you like the city? How do you like summers in the city? And I mean, Somerville, Somerville city and not city, best of both.
There is great. I play music there. I play in the East Shop. Somerville, Boston's great. Somerville's great. I mean, Rockford, you don't really have. In Illinois, you really don't have. People get in their cars and then they go home and the garage and stuff. People here actually love it.
Yeah, I dig that you're saying that. A lot of existences like the one you're talking about, I've done my time doing that. It's almost like watching futuristic films where people are existing in boxes. This is great. Can I ask when you first picked up this instrument in life?
I played in high school in the jazz band, and then I like to say that my talent, not that I have a great talent or anything, but for me, for like 25 years, I didn't play for 25 years, and then I saw it down in the basement, and I started playing.
That's really beautiful. All right. Well, thank you very much for blowing us a tune. Here we go. I'm excited. Instrument. Alto saxophone. I was asking for both reasons. Alto saxophone. Did you happen to name this saxophone?
Because I went online and I was able to buy this saxophone for $200. I went to the guy's house. I tested it out. I played Amazing Grace, and he was almost about to tears because he said his dad died, and he played that at his funeral. Yeah. He sold me the saxophone for $200, which is dirt cheap. I had my high school saxophone, but this one
They found some Coltrane recordings that have just been released. Tenor, yeah, isn't that right? Wonderful. What a wonderful feeling to be able to sing so much out of your lungs. I like to think there's a piece of music out there for every emotion that we can experience. We don't have anywhere near what do you do when you're not blowing the horn in Illinois?
I'm a teacher.
Oh, wonderful. What do you teach? English? Science? Oh, fantastic. All right. Well,
I play a lot of, especially on the clarinet, I play clarinet a lot of ragtime. And I was just thinking that how ragtime jazz is so unique and such a music, you know? So I'm not talking with that and WCC vocalists, you know. I'll play people like gospel, but they love ragtime, you know. I think it's on the ragtime club. It's so unique, you know. The entertainers, the listeners, you know. And there's nothing, you can't, you know, I play some classical, but it's totally unique and totally American, you know. It's so unique. They were the beginnings of jazz before there's Coltrane, you know, all the guys, New Orleans, and all that stuff. Louis Armstrong, right? You know what I'm talking about.
well, man, you're lit from within. I appreciate your time today. All right, Chatman Booth. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Hi, welcome to Chatman Booth, back to Chatman Booth. Beautiful Friday evening, afternoon here on the Common, and we're doing what we do, chatting with strangers. Hi, stranger, I'm Jabari.
Hello, I'm Daniel.
Daniel, pleasure to meet you. So, what brings you to the Common today?
I'm here. I've been here for 8 days on a national convention for a railroad union out here in Boston at the Copley.
The Copley Center? You're a railroad man?
Yeah, I've got 40 years in this year. I'm a national union rep for the Signal Group to take care of railroad crossings and signals. Yeah.
That's a huge job. I think probably, well, how many of us have comprehension as to how much freight gets moved around on trains in this country?
Can't believe it. It is incredible. 24/7. We work the route between Los Angeles to Chicago, and almost on any given city on that route, there's over 100 trains that run through there in a 24-hour period.
That's incredible. Now, how long has it been since you were operating the trains, and how did you even get that job?
Well, first of all, I work on the signal systems that operate the trains, and the railroad crossings. But
The air traffic controllers of
pretty much, yeah. We do the fleeting of the trains and the signal that coordinated with it, and hopefully prevent from trains from crashing into each other. It's all about safety. But yes, that's what we do.
Wow. So how do you feel about the union situation? I mean, yours is strong, and we're happy about that. I mean, a lot unions get way too much bad press, and it'd be nice to hear some good press.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it. The last I checked, the total union participation in the United States, I think was about 12% of the workforce, and it's incredible how they want to try to destroy 12% of the workforce, and you neutralize everybody else in doing it. Unions are needed. One thing mankind does have is greed, and we control it by controlling them with the work. I mean, it goes back to the centuries ago about people controlling whether it's slaves or down in the Americas, down South America, Mexico, Europe, everywhere. It's all about work and controlling people and labor, and it's still that way in the last part of it. That once you get that under control, unions, it's over. It's over. Then you win it in the court system, and then everybody can complain and do everything, but it's over. So we're headed in that direction, unfortunately.
And this wasn't a place that was built on the concept of every man for himself. I think back to the New Deal and how many progressive people there were from the middle of this country that made sure that we have 40-hour work weeks or are able to take a 2-day weekend. Like that didn't come from Nancy Pelosi or from East Coast liberals. That came right from the heart of us.
No, it didn't. And actually, the 5-day work week, and I hired on the railroad in 1978, and the guys that I worked with when they were getting ready to retire hired on in the 20s, and they saw the beginning of the 5-day work week, 40-hour work week. They saw it where they didn't have to work 16 hours a day, where they actually cut it down to 10 hours a day and got overtime. And so they knew exactly what they were saying. They were World War II veterans, and they saw Europe as workers and everything. So they came back, they made the unions real strong, and they were very passionate about it, and so am I. But, unfortunately, everybody gets a little lazy in getting involved and stuff, and that's what's hard to get everybody to understand before you lose it, that you got to participate in it. So.
Before you lose it, you have to participate in it. So I'm trying to imagine in my head running signals, operating signals, making sure that these signals function to provide this country its supply routes, and I'm trying to imagine what that was like in the 80s, how it started to change as computers began to get involved in the late 80s and the 90s. Like, what was the job then to its transition into the next ages?
Wow, that's a good question, very good question, because unfortunately up here in the Northeast, where you have a lot of passenger trains, mistakes are made, and basically they're running a signal that should be stopped at, and they run through it, and the trains run into each other, or they're going too fast to a curve and they crash.
You see when you see those on the news, they are mostly East Coast incidents and accidents.
Because of the volume and everything, and they have really tight schedules, then there is a lot of push to keep everything on time. But what we do is we fleet the signals. We work in the red, yellow, green, but we put them at stopping distances. The signals are a stopping distance away from each other to keep them from running into each other, and keep the trains long enough with enough weight on them where they could stop within that prescribed distance. The method that we're working on right now is called positive train control, PTC, and what we're doing is we're running the trains through the satellites and through the dispatcher systems. Yeah, what it does is it's just like with a car. I guess the cars now they have like a rolling time and space in front of it.
Conference is a long one. What are you guys talking about and doing all day? What can you share? It's important work. But yeah, this is a long conference.
Yeah, it is. We've got our bylaws and our Constitution, and this is basically the place that we go over them and challenge them with resolutions to change the bylaws and the Constitution. and then there's so much parliamentary procedure in it that it takes a while to get to it. And every railroad's got their own committees of what they're trying to work on their own railroad, whether it's in Florida, Alabama, Oregon, Colorado, wherever. And so we all get together and we brainstorm on it. And some of it's common problems and some of it's unique problems. But so there's a lot of brainstorming that goes on. And the main thing is we want to keep the integrity of our signal system, and we want to keep everybody safe. And of course, we want to keep everybody at the highest wages. Railroaders are underpaid for what they have to know and what they do. Some people argue that, but they really are. When you have to consider everything, they have to be certified and are reliable for it. So, yeah.
So are there young people in your life that have benefited from seeing your work inside of the union, from seeing your belief structure and how much time and thought and work and effort you have to put into keeping things fair and equal? Like, do you have people under you, or kids, or family, anybody in your life that has benefited from your example of how to live strong in these regards?
Yeah. Oh, yes. There's a lot of different ways. But one thing I did was I'm a negotiator, and then I'm a representative for people that get involved in some discipline problems. So you have to go to investigation with them, and whoever the aggressor is, in this case the railroad, has the burden of proof. So you have investigation trials, and I'm not a lawyer, but I'm basically the representative to do that. So a lot of people learn about due process and stuff like that. So the younger people that didn't even know they could go to jail for the mistake they make, or the other things they do, falsifying records, or either didn't know it ignorantly or did it deliberately, but they jump into a whole different level they didn't know they were accountable for. So yeah, I'm always educating younger people on what they're basically an example of.
And then just to kind of change the subject, another thing that I was curious about that I wanted to ask you about before we let you go here is your camera work. When and how long have you been interested in photography, and what do you do with your pictures? And is it? I've always found it to be a kind of peaceful practice, but then waiting for that right shot seems like it could be heart attack inducing sometime. What's your camera story?
I love cities. I mean, I like long distance shots. I like my photos to tell a picture of what's going on. I've gotten really good and really passionate about night photography, shooting lightning, shooting meteorites, shooting full moons, eclipses, stuff like that. Night city scenes with the lights, with the city lights streaking it for 30 seconds and stuff. Where you got the ribbons, red ribbons and stuff. So yeah, but I do nature stuff too. I'm from Colorado, and I'll do mountains and bears, elk and all that stuff. But it's okay, but it's not as exciting and challenging as it is shooting lightning in the sky when you get 8 strikes within 30 seconds and stuff like that. So,
How do you feel about people as subjects?
I like the ethnic part of every city. I was in Chinatown. Every city I go to, I usually go to the ethnic parts of the city just to watch them make food and to do things on the streets, and that's where a long lens comes in. I try to be private with them, not to interfere in, but just to see the work ethic and the the intertwining between the young generation and the old generation, and whether it's sweeping or setting out newspapers, whatever. I do a little bit of video too, mainly still shots. Boston, the East Coast is a whole different world compared to the Midwest, even California. I mean, this place is the metro. I mean, it's beautiful.
It's a great place to capture life. It's a great place to see just how little the melting pot matters, and why I say that. And when I say that, I mean how little we think about how many differences are right in front of us right now. Like, I'm cool with it. Why bug out?
I agree. The only thing I say about this metro area is where I come from, everybody knows how to survive if they need to. I look around this area, and I don't know if people would even know how to eat a pigeon. I mean, because where I go, everybody raises their own products, their produce, and they shoot elk, they shoot deer, they fish, they can vegetables, they do everything on their own. So they could survive all kinds of things where people in the city, I don't think would make it any kind of natural disaster.
Yeah, that's true. It would probably get desperate or cutthroat fast. I often think about how quickly I could get far away from here if I needed to be, coming from the country myself, where it is. Yeah, you know more about survival. Now, I spent a summer in Fort Morgan when I was a kid. I lived in Evergreen for a teeny bit in my 20s. If you wanted to go to see a concert or go to a decent mall, you had to drive 6 hours to get to Denver, right, from where I was from. What area of Colorado are you in?
I live in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
About 60 miles south of Denver. We're up against the Rocky Mountains, and we got the best of both worlds. It's a beautiful city. We got Garden of the Gods and just Air Force Academy.
You talk about up against the mountains. It's like Colorado Springs, the highway, and then mountains. Quite a sight.
I live on the west side, and it's just our houses and then the mountains. Unfortunately, about 6 years ago, we had a forest fire. It wiped out a lot of the forest. It's growing back, but because of that, we get a lot of deer and mountain lion and bear and everything roaming around our yards because the natural forest is gone. But it's starting to grow back now, but we've had quite a intertwining with too much wildlife. They love to eat our roses and roam around our neighborhood and stuff. But Colorado's a beautiful place. It's just our highways are not built for the 6 million people there. There's no way. Oh, it's terrible, terrible. Your highway systems here are built for these people. We have a lot of catching up to do.
If I may ask you one more question about your perseverance. Like it's very easy and very clear to see right on the front page what's happening in the news, how things are falling apart. I believe that there's a ton of people out there like you and me persevering. Why do you persevere? I guess I'm asking, do you have hope for this future, or do you think, my God, it's going to get so bad, I'm going to be gone, and then someone else is going to have to fix it? Like, where do you see it all going? Why do you keep putting in the effort?
I used to have a lot more hope than I do now. The work ethic of this nation was pretty much very, very thorough and consistent back when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s. I mean, I graduated in 77. Everybody got a job by the time they were 15, and they had 2 or 3 of them by the time they were 18, and then they went on their career, whether it's trade or to college or something. I don't see that anymore, and unfortunately, I see a lot of people sliding and learning how to use the system. I know a lot of people say that, but I deal with a lot of people, so I see it. I mean, if you got to hurt me, you're done. People don't know how to reinvent themselves. So I'm not being cynical or anything else, but the people that are successful, all of us railroaders, we're going to have a railroad retirement age. But I'll be 60, and I look at it, the vast majority of people, we're going to have to really be kind of sincere with a lot of people our age group by the time we're 70, because they're going to be living on the streets, because they're not going to do anything for any kind of housing or any kind of pensions or anything. So by the time we're 10 years older than we are now, it's going to be sad. They don't have a place to live. They can't work. They can't even walk around because they're crippled. And it's going to be people like us that are taking care of business. They're going to have to take them in or do something more so. And that's where the health care of this country is really important. And that's why it's going the other way right now. So I see a lot of harder times for this nation. I really do. And I see us being hard and cynical on them, or either embracing them and doing something for our fellow man, because it's going to get worse.
I know that we are going to have to face our problems and our issues, and I don't worry about whether or not we're going to face and fix them. I worry about how bad it's going to have to get before we do that. But it's nice to just sit here and meet a stranger like you and have this conversation. I appreciate your bringing Colorado to us, bringing the railroad system and the unions to us. Really appreciate your time. This is great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was very nice, and I appreciate your effort. I hope a lot of people benefit from it.
Thank you. Chatman Booth, we'll see you.